A short while ago I made a video running through the very best boss battles in each of the 5 mainline Rayman games, and while that was fun, it was somewhat predictable, in my eyes at least. If you haven't seen that, go and check it out because you might be surprised by some of my answers. To me though, it was incredibly easy to work out which boss fights gave me the most tingle in my plum juice, but figuring out the floppiest of boss encounters is a little trickier. Rayman is a great series, and looking at the 5 mainline games, there is a lot to love. Behind the best boss battle in the game are a set of mostly very good fights, actually. But of course, with every game, there is one encounter that reigns supreme as an utter waste of time, infuriating mess, questionable choice, or simply just a dull few minutes. So now you've all subscribed for more Rayman videos every week. Wink wink. Let's get into it. Rayman 1 is a tricky game to discuss here because I've previously gone on record saying that Mr. Dark's boss fight is my least favourite level in the game, and it is, but weirdly enough it might not be my least favourite boss fight. Where Mr. Dark frustrates me as a poor way to end the game, and an even worse reward for 100%ing the game, which is something you have to do to beat the game, it's not really the worst boss fight in and of itself. It sounds contradictory, but think of it like this. You make 2 pizzas. One of them is pepperoni and one of them is Hawaiian. The pepperoni one is awful and the Hawaiian one is good. Sure, the Hawaiian one might be the better pizza, but it is far worse at being a pepperoni pizza. You get me? Like if you want a pepperoni pizza, you'd rather have a bad one. The one that's good, but not even a pepperoni pizza. You know what I mean? Yeah, well either way, the Space Mama fight is the worst boss hands down, and I feel like I don't even need to elaborate on this one. I don't want to be that guy that always says the same thing, so I won't call the fight unfair, especially since it is bang in the middle of a game full of unfair tropes. However, the skill level required, or should I say highly trained muscle memory, to beat this fight just renders it unfun by the time you may eventually win. I have given up on the game multiple times at this point, and I was a lot older than when I first gave up by the time I finally beat it. It's a good enough fight in theory, but in practice it's just too much. I know it sounds like I'm whining about a boss fight being too hard, and you know, I am. But the others are hard enough. This is just a piss take in my opinion. I don't know, I get the impression most people somewhat dislike this one, but I know some people do, so I'm just going to move on. Rayman 2, like the first, is a tricky one to talk about. There are some rules I have to put in here or I'll upset people. Possibly. I don't know. Anyway, the Guardian of the Sanctuary of Stone and Fire is a pretty stupid boss fight, in that it is not a boss fight. I don't want to count it because otherwise I'd have to say that it is that one by default, so I'm not going to because that's boring. I'm of 2 minds about counting the boss fights from Rayman Revolution, as I kind of don't count that as the real Rayman 2, but in the same vein as the last video, I'm not going to include them, because it simply won't have an effect on this outcome, so if you want to, you can say I've included them, because it doesn't matter. The final boss fight against Razorbeard is a load of shit, and it is my least favourite boss fight in Rayman 2, hands down. And I don't mean the PS1 version either. Like Rayman Revolution, you know, I can't count it. However, if I did, you know, it would be that one. Anyway, yeah, the first bit on top of the ship is great. You hit those orbs back at him and dodge his attacks. So why did the rest of the fight have to focus on that stupid flying shell? It's not even that I hate the flying shell or the idea of the fight, it's just that they tease you with a proper fight. You know, one way you learn the attack patterns of Razorbeard, learn to dodge, the best times to attack. Something that this game sorely lacked, to be honest. So to finally have some well thought out combat right at the end was great. But no, you now have to fly around on this shell with controls that were not play tested nearly enough in a gameplay mechanic introduced not 20 minutes ago. Really? Not horrendously bad, but it annoys me, so moving on. Rayman 3 is another tricky one to talk about, who knew? I've said this on the channel before, but I hate the final segment of the final fight against Reflux in the final world. Like Rayman 2, finishing the game with an undercooked mechanic introduced only in the previous level after getting teased by some of the best combat in the game, yeah, that pisses me off. But unlike the fight against Razorbeard, this Reflux battle has a lot more going for it. The first 3 phases where you fight the low polygon Reflux, then the big low polygon Reflux, and then the flying low polygon Reflux are so good that I cannot in good faith say that this is my least favourite boss fight in Rayman 3. Especially when that awful Razov fight exists. No, not that one. In fact, actually both of these are my least favourite, shortly followed by the old soup lady. Man, I just do not love the Bog of Murk. I wish they spent more time on it. Anyway, chasing Razov the Hunter round his mansion upsets me. There's so much wasted potential in this huge area they made, and when you finally do find him, it's the most basic battle you can imagine. You just charge up a full attack and hit him. You only need to dodge like 1 bullet, maybe 2, to get your full charge. It's painfully simple. And when you don't find him, he finds you, and you gotta hide behind objects while he slowly aims and shoots 3 times. It's the kind of gameplay mechanic that should be used to deter a player from going the wrong way or doing the wrong thing. Almost like a punishment, because it's boring and frustrating. But unfortunately, it's just random, so it'll appear a few times. Even if you think you followed him perfectly, it's bound to happen. Yeah, I don't like this fight. Moving on. Rayman Origins is the host of many great boss fights, but are there any bad ones? Surely there are bad ones. No, not really. I don't love to bubbleize a mockingbird, so I'm going to go with that. But I wouldn't call it bad. I just don't particularly love the floaty updraft stuff this level forces you into. It's a simple enough fight, and actually very quick. It's just sort of bleh, I don't have a ton to say about it, really. It's just very easy to take damage sometimes, and sometimes unfairly. The fight isn't very engaging either. About a third of the time, you're just sort of waiting for the next thing to happen. Like I said, it's not bad, but it's just not great by any means. This can only mean the final boss fight we have to talk about is from Rayman Legends. It's a mixed bag of fights. Some are loads of fun. Some are the big black cloud at the end of the game that feels like a damp squib of a boss fight that I will not elaborate on. So ranking these from least offensive to most offensive, we have the bubbleizing of a mockingbird. It's not bad. It's easily the best here. I just love Rayman Origins. Big black cloud, same deal. It's a bit worse. Not inherently bad. It's just a bit naff, and again, I will not elaborate because I don't want to. I don't like talking about this one. Razov, next. I don't like it. It annoys me, it frustrates me, and it's the weakest link in Rayman 3 in my opinion. Second is Razorbeard's fight. I more or less dislike what this stands for more than anything. It's not even that bad to play, although it's not good. It just grinds my gears and not in the fun, sexy way. Space Mummer at number 1, I really hate this boss fight. Is it my least favourite in the entire franchise? Possibly, actually. I'd never thought about it like that until I wrote this. It's a shame. Anyway, I love Rayman despite this negative video, so be sure to subscribe for more Rayman related videos and whatnot. But until then, thank you for watching, and as always, stay purple, stay limbless, say bubbleize like a mockingbird, and I'll see you through your webcam in the next one.